Okay, so we're going to start recording. I'm Emily Terrell with eXp Realty, and we're going to go over the Tom Ferry 2022 business plan. I've been doing Tom Ferry coaching for probably about 5 years now, so I've done this many times. Paula actually used to be also with Tom Ferry coaching, so she's used to it as well. We actually met because we have the same coach, who, by the way, I love more than anything. So we're going to go over this. I'm going to kind of go over it at a higher level. Y'all do have the option to download it and print it out. It's not interactive, but you'll at least be able to go over all the questions. If y'all do have questions, just stop and let me know, and we can answer them as we go. So the first couple things is getting to know your foundations of your business. These are going to be the reasons why, the things that drive you, different stuff like that, just to help you really stay committed to your business. And that actually starts, the first thing is really, are you interested, committed, or obsessed? So the big difference is, someone that's interested is going to be, someone that got their license just so they can have access to the MLS, that may do a few deals because they came by, but not necessarily someone who really is either the next step of committed or obsessed. Committed, is obviously going to be a little bit higher step above that, where you're actually doing this as part of staying alive and being able to have your business. And then of course, after that is going to be obsessed, where it is, for me, I'm going to be on the level of obsessed. I love real estate. It is something that if I stop being a real estate agent, I don't know what I would do, to the point where I'm coaching and stuff like that, to where literally my life has evolved around real estate, which you don't have to go that far, but it is good to at least be committed or obsessed. And if you are interested, that's okay. But you do want to take this section to actually, as it states, to write a message to yourself so that you understand how seriously you're actually taking it and where you stand, and have a realistic look of yourself. In addition to that, you want to know what you're going to be accountable for. I actually use this section here on accountability to write, what some of the consequences are for not actually following up with my goals and going through them and actually reaching those goals. So for here, you can make sure that you're letting yourself know, because a lot of this is you're checking yourself, what you're going to be accountable for. So if you don't reach your goal, what are the consequences of that? Now, the next one, a lot of people do talk about this, and that's what your why is. So I'll share with you guys what my why is. For me, my why is going to be, mainly before I started real estate, I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, which I realized I'm not really that great at. And one of the reasons I decided to go into real estate is because I saw that my mother-in-law, over the course of her life, was kind of forced into being a stay-at-home mom. And I watched her go through the regret of that. Not that she regrets having children. She just has a lot of resentment of the fact that she didn't make something of her life. She should not have been a stay-at-home mom. So for me, of course I have my children and I want to create a great life for them. But for me, my big why is being able to build my life in the way I want to, and not looking back and having that regret and having that resentment towards anything in my life. So real estate is that for me because I love it. And so my why is to be able to build my life in the way that I want it to at the end. So from there, that your why, once you have a very clear why. Now, keep in mind, again, I'm very specific about my why and what drives me. So you want to use that to motivate you, and that'll actually help you with what you're wanting to be and what you're wanting to do. So a vision, they're going to be your long-term goals, what you're looking at, as it states, in the next 3 to 5 years. So for me, for an example, for that, my next goal in the 3 to 5 years is to have, so right now, a big part of what I do also, besides selling real estate, is also to buy investment properties. So I want to at least have 30 to 40 investment properties, single family residential investment properties. And at that point, then I'll start working on buying multifamily. So that's going to be on my investment side portfolio. On my real estate side, I'm actually, because I have had the ability to do that on my investment side, another goal of my real estate side is actually in 3 to 5 years to have a successful property management company, which I'm getting my broker's license and then creating a company outside of eXp, which you can do as long as you don't run any transactions that way. So I want that to be up and running, successful. I'm hoping to grow it from, right now it's at 0 because I haven't actually built it yet. up to probably, I don't know, if I could get up to 1,000 doors, that would be great. That's my vision of it. And then on my specific selling side of real estate, my goal right now, because I have all the other stuff going on, is to stick with 30 transactions per year. Originally, and you'll see it in here, I had it at 50 transactions, but that's a lot. It's a lot of transactions when I'm going through all of this, especially with running property management and doing my investment stuff. So we're good. But all of this stuff is my very specific timeline of what I want to have going in those next 3 to 5 years. And so I'm very specific. These are my goals. This is where I want to be. And as you can say, it does need to be measurable. So you can't just say, oh, I want to be wealthy. Well, that's not really measurable. You can say something like, I want to have $500,000 saved in my savings account. I want to have, even $100,000 saved in my savings account. It just needs to be extremely measurable, and you need to put a specific time frame on it. So like all of those things are my 5-year goal. If I hit it early, that's great. Then I adjust my vision. But this is, something that you're looking to do in that next 3 to 5 years. Oftentimes for people, it can be start a team. Okay, well, what do you specifically want with your team? Do you want to have a team of 10 people? Or in 5 years, you want to be doing, an average of 75 deals a year? All of those are fine. And even if your vision is smaller, that's okay too, as long as it's something that's measurable. But also do keep in mind, kind of shoot for the moon a little bit so that you can, really push yourself. So going from there, a mission statement. If you want to create a mission statement, again, a lot of these things are meant for you. They're not meant for the public. So it's okay of what it says. It can make no sense to anybody else, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be a big, long thing. Just a sentence is fine, but it really needs to be the purpose of what your business is, what like the end result is, what your general focus is. For example, if you want your general focus to provide quality service to clients, then that's what you put in there. If that's what your main mission for your business is. Keep in mind what you actually create as your mission will help you as what you focus on as far as building out. And it can correlate with your why. It doesn't have to, but you can have it that way. And then of course, values. You can really just use the deliver value and phrase if these work with you. He's got 5 of them there. You can use Tom's, or you can create your own, or you can kind of use a hybrid where you do both. But really, these are going to be the things that are important to you and the things that you follow completely as far as, the values that you have in your business. So we'll go to number 2. So do y'all have any questions about that whole part? About any of the missions? Why? You can raise your hand. I can see you guys if you need them. No? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, and this is probably the one that people like the most, and when they think of business plan, they think it needs to be this, are the transactions. Now, keep in mind your foundations, the stuff that you look there help guide your transactions. So that's why they have it first. So the first thing I recommend doing is going through and putting in your 2021 actuals. These are going to be specifically where you got your deals from, if they're buyers or sellers. These are the most common ones: past and current clients, referrals for many of them, your sphere of influence, referrals from your sphere of influence, agent referrals, geofarming, open house attendees, online leads. Another lead source that's really good is social media, to actually track that stuff. And then if you want to, you can get down to even more granular on these, but these are just really good areas to start with. But don't be afraid to add additional stuff. And then if there's, like it says here, if there's any just one-offs, it'll count in here. So the good news is all of this, when you're adding it in there, it totals it up for you. So if you put numbers in there, now yours won't total it up because you're not actually putting it in here, but on this one it will. So from there, now these are transactions. You can also apply all of this stuff for leasing. And if you're sending out agent referrals, that's a really good place to also track all this as well. You can track all of those individual parts because they are part of your business. So if you do a significant amount of leasing or agent referrals, it's good to track that as well because it is a portion of your business. Now, once you get your actuals in here, it is good to add in your 2022 goals. So do keep in mind, most of the time, most people have a goal of always building their business. And that's one of the reasons we do this. They want to build their business and grow it each year. Now, like myself, I'm not necessarily wanting to do that, but I'm growing other portions of it. So I'm okay with my transactions staying where they are. But a lot of people do want to grow their business moving forward. So it is a really good idea to look at what you've done. So now this is a really good example. If you only did 5 transactions for sellers for your past clients, and you expect to do 30, you kind of have to look at it in 2 ways. Number one is a realistic number. Going from 5 to 30 and then 5 to 20 will be hard, but it's not completely unrealistic. However, if you expect to go from 5 to 100, if you're not doing any marketing, which we'll get to the marketing section, then that probably is not realistic. So be sure that you're doing, you're setting yourself realistic goals so that at the end of the year, if you miss these goals, you're not freaking out and hard on yourself because you're missing their goals. But also at the same time, don't make them too easy where you don't try hard enough. So you have to find that happy medium to where it is a realistic goal that you can hit, but it's also something that challenges you. Because most people, if they're not challenged, I'm the same way. If I'm not challenged, I get really lazy and then I don't do anything. So I have to set myself a challenge. So the good news is you do want to set, your totals, your agent referrals. So for example, I'll probably get like 5, I'll probably get like 2 selling referrals, but I'll probably get like 5 agent referrals for buyers. Keep in mind, my goal is, significantly less at 30. So these numbers are going to seem smaller. I did more transactions this year, but that's okay. I'm okay with it because I have a lot of other stuff that I'm doing at the same time. So I'm okay with doing less transactions. And then as far as buyers, I'll probably, from past clients, I'll probably do the same amount because it'll be the same thing. Because most of the time when I help them, I'll probably do more like 7 buyers from that. And then referrals from them. So you're just going to go through and you're going to do all of these transactions. And then once you get to this, for you, it won't be able to save and calculate, but I'll go ahead and click that in there. So it'll put it in there like that for me. And then and then you're going to actually just manually calculate it in there. And then it'll tell you the percent of your business. So for me, it's showing me, which I didn't even try. I'll do 50-50, which if I went through and filled all of this out, I'll probably honestly be more heavier on the listings, but that's just because that's how I traditionally do my business. And let's be really honest, I'm not going to do any open houses. I can already tell you that. For me, I just don't do them. However, I do have other people do open houses at my listings. So that's okay if you don't do them, but just, have a very realistic look as to why. And then online leads, I'll actually do probably about 5 there from online leads. My sphere of influence will probably be about 4 and then 1 because they don't buy with me usually as much. Referral, GeoFarm. Okay, well, this one's not wanting to. Oh, here it is. Okay. So social media, we'll put in there. There we go. All right. So I tapped in social media. I'll probably do about 10 transactions from social media like that. And so then we save and calculate. So as you can see, it's starting to be a little heavier on the listings because I'll do significantly more listings. So for me with social media, I'll get a lot of investors that reach out to me to list their homes via social media because I do a lot of investment stuff myself personally. And then I work with a lot of investors as well. And then I'll also do, I usually will add in a personal transactions, which realistically, if I'm adding in, so for example, this year in personal transactions, I did 10 on the purchase side, and then I'll have sold 4 because I added rentals in there. So my goal is to do 15 this year, and then which includes, buying rentals and buying flips, and then I'll sell 5 of them. So that's my goal. See, now it's going to skew it though, because I'm buying a lot more for myself. But that's my goal as far as doing that. So as you can see, this is 60 transactions. So even though these numbers individually seem smaller, this gets up really fast. But a good part of that is 20 of them are going to be from, my investment stuff as well. So what that does is in here, in this section, you're going to go through and you're going to just enter in your average home value. And then you're going to do the math. So here it assumes that you get an average of, I think it's 3%. So it's going to take, the 31 deals, you multiply it by the 250,000, and that's going to be your total sales volume. And then assuming that you're getting 3% commission, then that's going to get you that much commission. And then you can average it out for yourself as well here. Same thing here. You do the exact same transaction. So for me, it's saying that my average GCI is $7,500. Now, do keep in mind when you're doing your averages, okay, if you're averaging 2%, then you need to make sure that when you do your total GCI, that you're doing it at an average of 2% instead of 2.5%. So what I like to do to determine that is I go through and my actuals, I actually will figure out what my commission is per transaction so that I know what it is and I can do the correct average over here. So it's really important to set that correct expectation. So if your goal for the end of the year is to make $500,000 in commission, you know that you have to do more transactions because you're averaging at 2% or 2.5%. Versus if your goal is to do, 100,000, but you're getting 3%, you can do less transactions. So keep that in mind when you're going through this and determining what your averages are. And then that'll give me a total. And then from here, you'll go and do your total transaction sales volume of the 16 million and the total GCI. So you'll look through there. And then right here, this is actually a place where you can put in those. So if I'm doing, let's say I'm doing 2%, okay? Just the example I gave you guys. Now this automatically calculates it out, but now at 2%, I went from 495 to 330. So just keep that in mind as you're going through it. If you're in the habit of always giving people a discount, or if your area, the average commission is 2%, that's fine. Just make sure you're realistically looking at this so your goals are accurate. Okay. So from here, we go down to the quarter. And this is important to know because, for example, typically my May, June, and July are very heavy. And then for some reason, October, they're typically really heavy. So I want to make sure that I go through and, for example, I said I was going to do a total of 66 transactions. Okay. So I want to go through and mark in here in the January, February, March, and you'll add them up to where there's a total and you get to the total number. But, I know that like in May, for example, I'm probably going to do, actually, because I'm cutting myself back, I'll probably do 10 transactions in each of these. 6. And then what does that put me at? So that's a total of 36. So I know in the rest of these, I'll do my transactions here and I'm just entering them in. So that's a total of 50 and I'm at 66. So I need to increase some of these. Oh, we'll do this one and we'll probably do like 5 here and 4. Let's see where we're at. So I need to add in a couple more. So we'll update these here a little bit. Did it calculate? Okay, there we go. All right, 62. So we'll do this. We'll do 4, 5, 11. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be good because it helps plan out. So also you can see the wave of where your money's coming from. Because typically people, this is how their real estate career goes, like this. It's up and down. You have highs and lows all the time. And we can talk a little bit more about why that is later. But this can help you plan, and it can really help you plan as far as when to save your money and when that income is going to come in. But this is typically how my business runs. I get the highs in the May, June, kind of goes down a little bit, and then October is pretty high, and then I steady back out. And that's completely fine to have that because that's just how people come as far as buyers and sellers. That's the typical wave of the market. But you want to be able to plan for this. Now, ideally, if you could have, the same amount every single month, that would be really great for you. That's not typical, but, go ahead and plan. And the good news is you can look at exactly how your last year went and the year before, and then you can average those, and then you can apply it to this. So you'll know when your highest months are, you'll know. So for example, there's an EXP agent in Fredericksburg, and she's run the numbers, and she's actually found that April is the largest month for them year over year. For some reason, April is huge. So they start planning in March for that, because everything gets listed in March and then it closes in April. So they actually start planning that, and then they create a heavy campaign based on that. So it is good to know and be able to watch and see what you're doing each month. So from here, this is a really good place to go and start looking at how much activity. So this is the way of working backwards. For example, you're wanting to do 5 days a week of prospecting, which you should do at least 5 days. And then how many weeks of that year you're going to actually work. So for example, it's okay if you take some vacation. So, for example, if you know that you're leaving for a 3-week cruise, well, then don't count 3 weeks, because you're not going to be working during those 3 weeks. Let's be honest. So, for me, for example, I know that I'll probably work 50 hours, 50 weeks out of the year. And my goal is to work 5 days a week, which is completely done. So for here, what you want to do is you want to look at, for example, if you go on 10 listing appointments and you get 5 of them, so your percentage is going to be 50% of the listing appointments that are going to generate a lead for you. Then from there, you're going to determine, okay, I have 98% close rate. So of those 5 listings that I have, 98% of them are going to close. And then from there, when you meet with buyers, from the first time you meet with them, so when you take that first meeting, how many of them actually result in a close? So we're just using great numbers here. You're looking at 50% of that. Okay. And then from there, how many conversations do you need to have that actually result in a close? So for example, if you're doing prospecting per week, you need to look at, let's say you have 30 conversations, and actually this is more like 98% also. Most of the time when I go to listing appointments, I've already met the people. I've already talked to them. I've already had great phone conversations. So a lot of times it's just going there to sign paperwork. It's not very often. I'm at a point where it's not very often that I don't. But also, so let's say you're calling expireds. If you talk to 30 people, 1 will result in a close. It could be higher, it could be less for you, just kind of depending on, how often you're prospecting. Okay. And so this section here, you're going to think of how many conversations you can have during 1 hour. Now, conversations is not just leaving a message. Conversations are actually talking to somebody, having, building some rapport, being on the phone with them. So let's say out of your calling, you're going to do 10 conversations in 1 hour. So you want to do your hours of power. So you're going to do the 10 conversations in 1 hour. So, and then you're going back and you're doing your prospecting days per week and per year. So now what does that mean? Okay. What does that actually mean? That means that I need to have 2,640 conversations this year in order to get to closings. So I can actually save and calculate. You'll have to go through a little bit more than that. What that means is, so for example, I wanted to do 31 listings closed. Okay. Now, based on this information, it said that I had 98% of them that I would have taken. So what you're going to do is you're going to have to do this manually, but 38 divided by 0.98 in my situation, that means that I have to take, and we'll average it up, 32 listings, which got me here. And what that's saying is that I get 98% of the listing appointments I go on. So which means if I want to take 32 listings, I'm going to divide it by your percentage that's up there. And that's going to tell me that I need to take 33 listing appointments. Now, let's say you were at 75%. Let's say I sold 75% of the listings that I took. So I want to close 31 listings and I sold 75%. So I would, sorry, I hit the wrong button. 31 listings, we'll clear it all the way up. 31 listings, you'll divide it by your percentage. So that means I would have to take 41 listings. Now, let's say I also only got 50% of the listing appointments I go on. So then in that case, I would divide by 50%. That means I would have to go on 83 listing appointments in order to get, the 41 listings that I've taken and then be able to close 31. So what you want to do is you want to start at the back. So 31, you divide it by your percentage, that'll give you your listings taken, and then you divide that by your listing appointments. So you'll just refer back here to the percentage that you put in there and go from there. Now, the same thing is with the buyer consultations. Now up here, I said that 50% of the buyer consultations actually results in a close. So I'll take 35 because that's how many I want to close, divide that by 0.7. So that's going to get me to, and actually, what did I do? Why is this one not coming out? I do.
So Emily, I have a question for you.
What's up?
Okay, so the hour of power, is this, and prospecting, is that strictly for people that call expires and for sale by owner?
Nope, it's anything. It's the 1 hour that you're working specifically with reaching out to people. So it can be anything. It can be an hour of going through and reaching out to your sphere of influence. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be calling. It can be going on Facebook and, hey, Paula, how have you been? Just checking on you. How's it going? And having those conversations, meaningful conversations. It's not just blanket calling. It can be a lot of different things. It's mainly your hour of very specifically sitting down, no distractions, working on marketing and social media.
Okay.
So that's what it is. It just refers to that. So does not have to be expired. That one's just the most common one that you're using. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this. I have to look at how they get this part, the initial buyer consultation. Because, oh no, that's why I did it by 70%. Never mind. Okay. I said 50%. Okay. So obviously there we go. I was like, wait, how do we get to that? Okay. So 50%, obviously, then I need to have at least 70 initial buyer consultations through the year in order to get that. Now, the good news is all these numbers you're putting in here, for the prospecting and stuff like that, you want to track these by yourself for the year so that you'll know this year. So for track it during 2022, 2023, when we do our business plan again, you'll be able to say, hey, you know what? I did 50 listing appointments. I got 35 of them. That's my percentage. And then I took 32 of them and, I closed 31. So you'll know your percentages instead of just guessing what they probably are. You'll actually know them very, very specifically. And it's okay. If you don't get one, that's okay. It's, it's not, whatever your numbers are compared to anybody else does not matter. Even the numbers I'm putting here in examples, they don't matter. The important thing is what you do and tracking everything, because the most important part is actually tracking everything. So right here. So what you need to do this week, and this actually breaks it down. So this was at a year. This is in a week. So what we need to do in a week, it's telling me that I need to do 4 hours of power every single week. So that means that, Tuesday through Friday, I need to do hours of power. My goal is to have 40 conversations during that time. That's going to result in 1 listing appointment and 2 buyers should, according to what I've told the system I can do. That's going to result in 1 listing appointment and 2 buyer consultations. And in order to stay on track for my goals for this year, this is what I need to do per week. Now, what does that mean per day? That's going to break down to 1 hour of power, 8 conversations, and 1 appointment. And how to figure out these numbers. If you're having trouble getting to these, just let me know. We can enter in your information on mine real quick and pull it out. But what it is you're based on the numbers that we've put in up here. Actually, no, where did we get to? Oh, right here. The 30 conversations to close and how many days a week I'm going to be prospecting. The fact that I told it that I could do 10 conversations during 1 hour of power. Then that's telling me, and then it takes 30 conversations. So really, that's going to get me all to these numbers down here. Like I said, if you need help actually getting to these numbers, just let me know. We can enter in your stuff really quickly and get you going from there. We can do that really quickly for you. So once you have all your transactions and it helps break down everything that you need to do, then we're going to go on to the next item, which is going to be your marketing plan. Now, marketing plan is really important just because it actually helps you determine what you're doing, where you're at, and it actually helps to break down. Now, these are examples that are they're just stuff that can be considered. They are listed on your stuff. This one you want to go through, and we'll go through it a little bit, but here for like I said, it's got a big giant example over it. It gives you an idea. Now, here are the areas that you want to go through. I'm going to go through at a much higher level because this is very, very specific to you. But the first thing you do want to start off with is your unique selling proposition, which is going to be what is the thing that you want to advertise, the thing that you want to show people. So basically, like, what sets you apart? So for me, one thing that I'm really, really good at is coming up with solutions to problems. There's not really a solution, or there's not really a problem. It's more of just like, I got to figure something out. And so, for me, like, if a transaction's not going well, I'll figure out what the problem is and go through that. Whether it be the other agent stressing out, even when an appraisal comes in low, a lot of times I'll work with my clients too. And my goal is not always just, drop the price. Like, that's not always a solution. There's tons of different ways that we can come across stuff. If the house isn't selling, we'll come in and I have several ideas of things that we can do to help change that. So for me, when people ask me what makes me different, the thing that makes me different is that if something goes wrong, I don't just stop there. I actually create this. So you want to do that. If you focus on service, if you focus on accountability, if you focus on communication, that thing that makes you unique to anybody else is what you want to focus on. Now, do keep in mind, if you put something in there, like let's say you say that communication is your number one unique selling proposition, you got to communicate with people. You always have to tell them. If you tell them you're going to call them on Friday and then you don't, even if you're calling them on Friday just to say, hey, you don't really have any updates, but I told you I'd call, so I'm calling you, that's communication. People want whatever you say you're going to do, you got to do it. So make sure when you create your unique selling proposition that you actually are doing that thing. I've seen so many people that come in and say stuff like that. So we'll go over what the different lead source is, and then what you're going to be doing for that. So this example here is about geofarming. Okay. So with geofarming, part of the marketing plan is going to be 24 open houses, 12 bulk mailers, targeted Facebook videos, Facebook home valuation ads, and then Facebook search ads. So for this example, those are the things, the actual advertisements that they're doing for geofarming that's going to get them their 5 transactions. Okay. And then what they're going to do on top of that is networking, because you do have the marketing, which is typically just information that's plastered in front of their face, but you also want to get out. So I know, Paula, you do social media, you do group events, right? Where you do networking stuff. You give a pie giveaway. I was talking to you on the phone when you were picking up your 30 pies this year. And actually that's a super popular one. But your networking plan. So for example, your community event booths, PTA board meetings, the different stuff like that, that's going to be in that geo farm. Same thing with your prospecting plan. Once you actually get the leads that come in, this is the contacting them. So for circle prospecting, going to do door knocking, which is going to be meet people in person. In this case, they wrote down for Zillow and Trulia leads, which if you're geo-farming area, it is a good idea to also be the person that they go to on Zillow as well. If that's in your budget, keep in mind, all of these things do cost money, so keep it in your budget. Open house, neighbor invite. So that's actually a really good one when you have any open houses, to invite all the neighbors to it. And then we already mentioned circle prospecting. So in addition to that, you need to have a follow-up plan for all of the leads that do come in. You need to have specific follow-up plans. I like to do automated ones. I use LionDesk often, but use whatever you're going to use. It doesn't matter. Even I've had people use just Excel spreadsheets where they go through and like mark everybody that they call, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be techie. The important thing is that you're doing it. The important thing is that every day you actually take, you do it. So there's different, in this case for their geo farming, they're getting leads from different areas. Like it is geo farming, but they're getting leads. So for example, there's some people that did the open houses. There's going to be some that come in from their bulk mailers, and they also did Facebook heavy stuff here too. to those same group of people. So they're going to get different stuff that comes in. So they set up their follow-up plans based on that. So anybody that came to an open house, they're going to get different follow-up. Anybody that is in that neighborhood that, you know, requested information based on their mailers, Facebook, different stuff like that, they're going to have it in there. And then obviously same thing. This is going to be their nurture plan. So the long-term, the people requested information, they're not really doing anything. So we're going to nurture them for 2 years, which by the way, is the amount of time that you should probably follow people is roughly 2 years. And then even after that, put them in there, just getting newsletter bulk information. You want to keep that going long-term for them. So down there are sections that you can do this. If there's not enough room to do it, you can actually put it on a different spreadsheet, different information. But this is the area that you're going to go through and add each of your different lead sources. Now, here's a big thing. You see where you did the transactions and ratios? These are your lead sources here. The past clients, referrals from them, sphere of influence, referrals, agent referrals, geofarming, open houses, online leads, social media, personal transactions. These are going to be your lead sources that you use when building out the marketing plan. So here, with your transaction goal and your lead a source. Now keep in mind, in your transaction goal, you go back here to transactions and you say, okay, for my past and current clients, I said I was going to do 17. Okay, great. So then I'm going to create here and I'm going to go past clients. All right, I wanted to do 17. Now, what are the things that I got to do to get to those 17 transactions? So you're going to want to go through and do all of that to make sure that you get to those goals. And these are the things that you need to do. So once you get past this page, we're going to go to our operations plan. Okay, I didn't hit save. So operations plans are a little bit different. I think my husband's actually going to walk in, so sorry. Operations plans are going to be the things that you want to do to help your operations. Because there's two parts of real estate. There's the marketing part and the transactions where you go through and do that. But then there's also the business side of running your business. This talks about the business side of running your business. So for example, you know, for me, for, you know, a long time, one of the things that I wanted to do was streamline my expired program. So I came through, I created all of that. And then now I have a streamlined expired program where I just go and hit 2 buttons and I'm done. And for me right now, one of my goals is to hire a VA that's actually going to help me with my marketing side of it. And so for me, I'm going to hire that VA before Q2 of this coming year. And I want to do it before then. So really January, February, March is that time I want to hire them. And then I'm going to put there the priority. So keep in mind, you don't want to put too many things here where you're not going to get them done, but also at the same time, you need to figure out the things that you're having troubles with and the parts of your business. So for example, you know, a marketing piece, what can you do to make it to where it's scalable? Because everything here, the important part of doing this in your operations is to make stuff scalable. So if me hiring a VA is going to help me be able to scale my business and take less time away from me having to physically do stuff and she does it, then that, or he or she, for some reason, it's always a she for me. But that's an important part of it. So you want to make sure that you go through and you determine what those pressure points are for you. So for example, if one of the things that you need to do to make your business scalable is hire a TC. Okay, great. Let's do that. Now, if you don't want to hire a TC, but you need a little bit more information about building, you know, better communication during your transactions. Well, that's great. Let's talk about what program you can use to help organize all of your transactions, which there are some really cool ones out there. If you need any advice on those, let me know. But there are, you know, just different stuff that you can do to help build those transactions. So, and like this one here is enter my numbers into Loom at the end of the day. Loom is this program here that I can use to track all my numbers. Well, for you, that may be enter your numbers into a spreadsheet every day so that you can, at the end of the year, have all of those specific numbers that we talked about. You'll have them all ready for yourself. And so you'll know where you are next year. And it goes through and helps do all that. So keep in mind, when you're creating your goals, you want to go through and create goals that are realistic for you, but that are also going to help. These are going to help business efficiency so that you take less time in the business part of it and the transactions, and you can spend more time marketing. So keep in mind when you're creating these, and then you want to give them a score of what's the most important so you know which items that you need to focus on the most. Okay, so from here, This is going to be more of a self-awareness, and it'll actually help you when going through the rest of them. What you want to do are go through and create, obviously, your SWOT analysis. It helps complement your vision and what you're looking at. So you're going to really sit down and focus on what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So obviously your strengths are going to be to create engaging, informative videos for social media. So that's actually one thing that it's, as an example, that's a really great example for me. I'm really good at just setting my phone down, creating it, and moving on. Another thing for me that I'm really good at is figuring out systems, figuring out what I need to build so that I don't have to do it as much, so that I don't have to take time away from doing it every day. Now, for me, a weakness for me is that I procrastinate for the longest time, but then I get everything done in 10 minutes. So that's a little bit of a weakness for me, because I will literally do that. Like I think like my expired program, I could have done it forever before, but I literally did it in 10 minutes, probably 2 days before I had my baby, because that's how I am. So for me, that's a weakness. So that's something I have to focus on. Now, opportunities, these are different stuff. For example, the geo farming that they did give, that person's leaving, so there's going to be a vacancy there. So you can do that. So, and I go back to expireds because it's there. So right now is actually a good time to get in on expireds and canceled, because they are canceling and expiring, just not as much. So the people who are really dominating them aren't going to be spending as much time on them. However, if you do, and you go through and you're actually able to get, because homes like in our area, we used to be at 10 to 15 a day that were expired. Now we're at like 3 to 4, but it doesn't matter, because those 3 to 4 build up over time. If you're doing circle prospecting and then you happen to a geo farm that the person that was dominating the area is now gone or is leaving, then you're great. That's an opportunity you can slide right into and continue the work that they've done, just putting yourself in there instead. And then, of course, the last thing is threats. For me, for example, in this small town that's right here, there's like literally 7 real estate offices. There's like 2,400 people in the town, but there are 7 offices. So you have to be cautious of, what is a threat and how that's going to affect your business. Now, do keep in mind that in saying that, for me, an opportunity and result of that is that of those 7 offices, like maybe 2 agents out of those offices actually do professional pictures and do professional marketing plans. So an agent that is in our group, his name is Rob. He does professional videos and professional pictures, which I do them as well, but he was doing that. And so he started getting a ton of listings because he saw the opportunity that nobody else in this town did it. He doesn't even have an office because we don't have offices there, but he just started going in and saw that opportunity that people weren't doing these things. Sorry, my husband. I'm telling him to. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, sorry about that. Anyways, but he saw that opportunity, so he went for it. So it's identifying the threats and what opportunities those threats provide, and then focusing on what your strengths and weaknesses are, so that you can really be aware and build your business correctly from it. So we'll go from there. Okay, so the last thing is going to be your financial plan. Now, this is kind of really important so that you can help budget and create an actual budget for you. This is going to be, I will tell you, the hardest thing for people is figuring out what their budget is and figuring out what they need to do. So for example, now this brought it in, my 2022 GCI goal is 375,000. That brought in from the original transactions and ratios. You can go, it's fine. So that came in from there. So it automatically added it in for me. But for you, you'll just go back here to your transactions and ratios. And in this case, so right here, this is at 330. And then, I must have some in agent referrals and leasing. So it's in there. So it added it in for me up here at 375. So make sure you add in all of your GCI that you're looking to get. And then from there, what your actual net commissions are. So from 375, let's see, 375, we're just going to make it easy. That's going to be, obviously, we get to keep 80% of that. So it's here. Oh, I'm about to go too, so that's fine. You can go ahead and then I'll meet you there. So you're going to do 300,000, and keep in mind, I just did that as a quick number because, we're at an 80-20 split. So anything that you want to do, you can actually go through and like granularly check that out if you want to. But if not, it keeps it there. Now, if you have any other real estate pre-tax income, then what you're going to do is, like, for example, we have an opportunity of revenue share here. So let's say you're getting $500 a month in revenue share. You're averaging that. Okay. So that's an additional $6,000. Okay. And then, so your total projected pre-tax income, let's see. Oops. Nope, it's not going to let me do that. So it's not putting it in there yet. It won't let me type it in there, but you'll actually go through, you'll do your 300,000 plus your 6,000. So it'll add it in there and it'll give you your projected, let's see. It'll go back. Here we go. Okay. So once you hit save, I can put it in here. So from other sources, here we go. And then it adds it in there. You want to add in your 2022. Once you put in your budget from over here, it's going to give you your amount that you put in your 2022 budget. And then that's going to get you your net income. Okay. So for example, okay. So let's talk about your budget inputs. Okay. So your months in coaching this year, 12. Okay. So you want to go through and look at what your personal expenses are. That's going to be, I would look at an average for each month or just add up all of your personal expenses. Keep in mind, you don't have to share this with anybody. So it's, it's really good to be honest with yourself of what you're actually spending each month. And it doesn't really matter how you do your finances. There are areas that you can add in other post-tax income that you've got. So like, for example, if part of your budget on this is you have a part-time job or you have a spouse that works, include their information in here as well if you keep all of your finances together, because it helps you get a realistic look of what your finances are. You also want to look at your business expenses. For example, if you're spending $50,000 on your business, and that includes, anything, pictures, coaching, anything that you're spending on your business, you want to include it in here. Let's say your personal expenses are $100,000, and then you've got income from a spouse that goes in there. Put it down here. We'll do that. What your savings are going to be, what you expect to, or we'll do it from the top. What you do want to do is your debt reduction goal. So for example, if you're wanting to reduce, let's say $15,000 a year in your debt that you currently have, then you'll put it in there. And then there are pre-tax saving goals and post-tax saving goals. So the stuff that I save for myself are pre-tax saving goals because the money hasn't been taxed on yet. And that's going to be stuff that goes into 401ks, also stuff that you're saving before it's taxed. So 401k is saved before it's taxed. And then when you get it later on, you'll tax it. So let's say we're saving, $5,000 from that. And then your post-tax saving goals are going to be stuff that actually once the money hits your account, you save. So if you're saving $500 a month, they're going to be at $6,000 a year. Okay. So you're going to want to do all that. And then, so then you want to also look at your federal tax income rate. I don't know what that is, but we're just going to put like 15%. I have no idea what that number actually is. So we're just putting something in there. That would be a thing I could just text my CPA over. She'll tell me, and then we're good to go. So from there, with all these percentages in there, I would be at a negative $1 million. So let's see what it is. Oh, this is monthly. No wonder.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Emily. You put it. Yeah, that was the problem.
Okay, we'll just do this. We'll change some stuff up here. Actually, we'll do 5,000. I was putting it in per year, so let's do that. 3,000. 500. This I said we're going to do 500. And then actually we'll keep it more on track with the numbers. Man, I'd been so negative. I'd been so bad. Okay, there you go. So with these numbers, so let's be realistic there. Okay, so if my personal expenses are $10,000 a month, my business expenses are $5,000. If I want to reduce my debt by $3,000 each month, which would be awesome, that'd be great. Anyways, then all of my savings goals, and then income from other sources, and with the 15% tax rate, that would leave me a net income of $138,000 per year. So you do want to be realistic of putting all of these numbers in. And how they're going to do that, obviously, is they're going to add up all your expenses per year and your savings, and then they're going to enter them into these sources here. You should be able to figure out which ones they go to. If you need help with that and you want to enter in your numbers here, just let me know and I can help you do that as well. Just to give you all of these numbers a lot easier without you having to do any of the math. And then it'll tell you how to allocate each commission check. So you want to put 20% of it into your business account, 60 cents, 66% into your personal account, and then you want to save 14% of it each year, or each check that you get. And one thing that the Tom Ferry organization recommends is that as soon as you get that check, those numbers are allocated immediately, so that at the end of the year, you're not going, oh my God, how do I pay these taxes? You in theory, because of this, because you're saving 14% of that check for taxes, you should have that amount already saved. So do y'all guys that was all of it in a nutshell. Do y'all have any questions about it?
No, that was amazing. And that was super thorough. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome. I did go really fast. So just reach out to me. Just put a question in the chat or in the group. Just if you have any questions, let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you guys. And like I said, if you want some help just putting this in here, the number part of it really quickly without having to do the calculations on your own, just let me know and we can go through and just enter them in here for you so that you've got numbers and be able to do that. And then when you do your budgets, try and be really realistic of what you're actually spending. That will help you a ton as far as planning, and it'll help you get to what you need to allocate per check to really help you out. So, all righty. So let me do this right real quick. Awesome. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, let me know.